This conference will now be recorded.
We covered loop statements in the last session. Yes. So some question answers on the loop. What is loop statement in Java? What are the loop statements we have in Java? Yes.
For loop, while loop, do while.
Okay. Okay. What is for loop? Yes. What is for loop? For loop has
For loop,
three things. Okay. Initialization, condition, and increment. Increment or decrement, so it can be decrement as well, increment or decrement. So it has three things. For you initialize something, integer I equals to 10, suppose you are initializing I less than 0 and I minus minus. So you can write a for loop which will start from a 10 and run till 0 and minus minus every time decrement by 1. Also, we can write a for loop which will start from I equals to 0 and I less than 10, I plus plus. So here it should be I greater than 0. So as long as it is greater, it will run a loop. And this is the for loop. So it will increment each time by 1, it will decrement. So you can write increment, decrement both in a loop statement. Okay. What is while loop? What is the difference between for and while loop? Yes. Can anyone tell me what is the difference?
first we initialize, then we'll give while loop in condition, and then we'll give increment in flower bracket.
Okay. While loop is not necessarily saying that you give a initialization or anything. Only condition is mandatory. Okay. It is only condition it is asking, but whereas for loop it will ask for initialization, increment, condition, three things. In the while loop, if you have anything, suppose you want to check if a user is, or as long as it is active, so user active or a active user is there, so as long as he is active, you just want to use this, run this loop. Okay. And you have something boolean active as a true. Okay, this is a variable. What is active? Active is a variable of boolean type and it is storing true. And as long as this active variable is true, you want to run this. There is no other condition, no increment. Okay, down the line, or if there is some condition and on that condition you mention that active equals to false. Okay, based on this the condition will fail. This while loop will only fail if this if is true. No increment is mandatory. While loop is based on a condition, so you can modify or write it when you have something only related to a condition. So you do not have any fixed number of iterations. You have unlimited iterations you want to run just with one condition. You have a while loop. Whereas for loop is used for a finite number of times you want to run a loop. So here we know that it will run for 10 times. Okay, here also it will run for 10 times. But in this case, how many times that active will be true, we don't know. Okay, it will be completely on a logic how you write. Okay, so infinite number of times if we want to run a loop, like not known number of times, then unknown number of times, if we say that specifically unknown number of times, it will vary maybe 1 or 100, then we use a while loop. Okay, and yes, that is a major difference between these two. Both are loop statements, means we are going to use it for particular block to execute repeatedly. So loop statements we write or we use To execute something or to execute a block of code multiple times, right? How many times? Multiple times, n number of iterations, n times of iteration. What is iteration, guys, in the programming language? One iteration means one loop. One time this loop is executed, this code is executed once, that is one iteration. So this block is executed once means it is one iteration. So iteration is in the programming language, you might be using Java, Python, any programming language. Iteration meaning is one time that set of code is executed once. How many iterations means how many times it is executed. Okay. So iteration is for a repeat execution. For something to do it repetitively, we call it as iteration. Okay. In every programming language, there will be for loop. The syntax will change. Every programming Python will also have if else. Just the syntax will change. Okay. So once you know one programming language, it is very easy to switch between another programming language also. If you know Selenium Java and you have Selenium Python to work, you can do it. Okay, it will be easy switch because you know the commands, you know the syntax. Just you have to like change as per the new language syntax. Okay, overall things will remain same. Overall loop means loop. Okay, if meaning is if, for meaning will be for. Okay, the loop statements will be if else, or like loop statements are this only, just the syntax will change, everything will remain same. So programmers working on one technology, they can learn another technology and work on any other technology as well. First, initially learning one technology will take some time. It feels little new, but you will be able to learn any other programming language as well if you learn one programming language. So you might be hearing that okay, there are very new technologies, so many new technologies are coming up in the market. So do you need to upgrade yourself every year? Do you need to learn like every technology that is coming into the market every year, every year? No, the answer is no. You don't need to learn everything, whatever is new in the market every year. Just stick to one tool technology for sure. Now you are learning Selenium Java, so stick to Java. Do not change programming language in your career so drastically so many times. Just work on Java for like more than 5 years or you will become more expert. Okay, so you can say that I'm a Java person and I know Java programming. Do not switch so many languages, it will be not required also. So stick to one, and apart from this you can learn parallelly few things like API testing, like database. Okay, that will add on to your profiles. But programming language, every developer will be knowing one programming language, so they will stick to one programming language. Python developer will be Python developer. Okay, he will not change coding in between so many times in the career, not needed. You can do it, it's not you should not do it, but not required that you should know all the programming languages. Be in one or be a expert in one thing, that is also fine. You will be able to get good opportunities, good career growth with that. Or sticking to one path is also a good. So now you are into a QA, you can be in a QA, grow in QA, learn something more in QA. So in QA there are these things only: database, API, or Selenium, automation, Java. Okay, Maven framework, page object model, these things, Cucumber or something, some frameworks. Okay, those things will be enough and fine for you to have a good career. Okay, now what we will see is the for loop is fine. Now we will start with class and object. Okay, what is class and what is object, we will see. Okay, so we know that what is a class. Till now we created a class. Every time we created a class, right? Class for a sample. Yes or no? Did we create class? Do you remember what is a class? We write main method in a class only, right?
We'll create package and then we'll create class. In that we'll use
Yes.
public void main for the method to write our
Yes.
code.
Yes, correct. So till now we have seen main method is writing. So whenever we call method, method meaning is we write this round bracket. Method meaning is this round bracket. What is round bracket meaning? Method. Anything represented with round bracket, that is a method, means it is a call to a method. Okay, so this is a call to a method. This is how it is mentioned. So every time if something round bracket is shown, that is a method. Okay, what is the meaning of this curly bracket? What is the meaning of curly bracket? Whenever these curly brackets are mentioned, the meaning of these curly brackets are, can anyone guess?
To write our condition.
Yes, it's a body or a block of code. Okay, it can be if body, if else we write body. For loop we have a body, right? We have seen that. For loop has a body, while has a body, if has a body. That is a block of code which we want to write. So that block of code we write in these curly brackets. And when we write round bracket, for a method call, for a method, we write this round bracket, and curly bracket is different, so we cannot interchange. You cannot use for a method this curly brackets or for body round brackets. We cannot use that, can't do that. So method will always have a round bracket, body will always be this curly bracket. Okay, so now a class will contain method. We have seen a class we created with a main method. Class we created with a main method. Always saw that. So a class can contain method. For sure we know that. And also class can contain variables. Okay. That is, class can contain two things. One is a variable, second is a method. So class is a non-primitive data type. Okay, data type is, it's also a data type. You can create a class type of data type which will store variables and methods in a one entity. Like overall as a one object it will store. So class can store a variable and a method. Okay, so I'll class we always write with this curly bracket. It's the body of a class. So what a class will contain? First it will contain variables, and second it will contain methods. So class can contain this. Okay, I'm creating one class. So class will contain some variables. Okay, these are variables and this is for method. So two things a class will contain. This is class A. For example, class A. Okay. And now class can contain variables integer I. Okay. And now your class can contain variable also. Alright. So what I will do is it contains I comma j. And then A is a class. It can contain method also. Right. Method is, what is method, guys? Method is reusable block of code. Main method is method. So method is a reusable block of code. Method is reusable block of code. Means you can call it again and again. Method you can call again and again. So like when I call your name, you will respond, right? If I call Ajay, Ajay will respond yes or no. So if you call a method, method will respond. Method will be executed. So method is a block of code that will be executed whenever you call. Now I'll create a sum method. Try to understand sum method. Sum method will calculate addition of two numbers. Okay, integer sum or integer s. In this we will add I plus j and will print the s. So what is the logic here? We are writing in the sum method. Sum method is method which will perform a addition of I and j. So class will contain I and j, and the addition of I and j we are printing in this sum method. Method is reusable block of code. So now sum is a method, so we have to call this method. So if I call sum with 10 comma 20, what will be? It will print. So call will go to this sum method. Okay, 10 will be. Okay, so just a minute. So this sum method we will write it with
So
the
please, what is the
parameters.
difference between class and a function?
Yes, there is a difference. Class and function. Okay. So class can contain variables and methods. Okay. Function is method. Function or method is same. Some programming languages say method. Okay. Java will say method, and C, C++ they call it as a function. So function or method is a block of code, that is reusable block of code. Okay. So now method is, what is method? Method is reusable block of code. So now this is a method. Now I am calling this method from another method. So now this 10 will be assigned to I and 20 will be assigned to J. Addition will be 30, that will be printed after this print 30, print S. 30 will be printed. So output will be 30 will be printed. Okay. So you will say how this we are calling. So we will call this from another method. We will see this how we call. Just understand, if a method is there, method can be executed. Okay. So method can be executed by calling it. Okay. We can call a method and it will be executed. Now class can contain variables and methods. What is object? Object is a real-time entity. Object is a real-time entity of a class. Meaning is, some real-time examples or some general examples I will give. Okay. We will create a class of student. Okay. And it will have integer age of a student. Okay. And name of a student. And the methods a student class can have is show method, or like marks, or a result method, or a show method, which will print the name and age of a student. So which will print the age and name. Age and name. Okay, so I'll write not a Java code, just in simple words I will write print age and name. So you have methods and variables in a one class, and you can create an object of a class. So when you create an object of a class, then the memory will be allocated for a age and name. What is age and name? They are variables, right? They are variables of a class. So for a class variables, memory will be allocated when you create an object. Okay, so when we create an object, now how we create an object? You can write class name, okay, and the object name. Okay, now this is object S1, for example. S1 new is a keyword to create an object, and again student we write S1 equals to new student. So now for a student we created an object S1. New is a keyword to create a object. So what is new? New is a keyword to create a object. So what is a keyword to create a object? Can we have some answer? What is a keyword to create a object?
New.
Yes, always it will be a new keyword. New means new object you have to create. Okay, new is a keyword to create a object. Now for what we create object? For a classes only we create object. Okay, if your class name is A, what was the class name here? A, right? This class A, how we create an object of a class? As it is A, you write A1 equals to new A and round bracket. That's it, the class is created. Class object is created. Object is created with this new keyword. Okay, now when you create an object using this new keyword, variables are created and memory will be allocated. So memory for a student is allocated. For example, you created a S1
Oh,
object for
my screen is not visible.
screen is
Yes,
not
Priya.
visible.
Yes.
Yes.
Not visible. Okay, I clicked on something maybe. Okay, now
Yes, now it's visible.
okay, yeah. So for example, this is S1 object. Memory is allocated for this S1. So when you create a object, memory is allocated in the computer memory. So in our computer memory, the memory will be allocated. So in this age memory allocated, there is a block for a age. Okay. So block for a age is allocated, block for a name is allocated. Means some space for a age variable, some space for a name variable. Variable means what? Variable will store a value. Variable is a, what is variable? Is a block of code which will, like block of memory which will store a value, right? What is variable? It's a container to store a value, right? So in this container the values will be stored. So now how to store a value? We have to call using S1. So now what is S1? S1 is the object of a student. S1 is the object of a student. So S1 dot age you have to say. Where the memory is allocated for a S1 in the computer memory, the name is S1. So you have to write S1 dot. Okay, I will write it here. Okay, S1 dot age. Then you can assign some value 10. S1 dot name. You can assign some value. Okay. How we are assigning some values? Using the objects. So when we create a object, then only memory is allocated, and you can use object name dot variable names. Okay, that object where these variables are available inside a class, and this object is also of a class, right? So now with this name S1 we will be able to access these variables of a class. Okay, so let me create this in the Eclipse, you will understand much better. Okay, so consider we have Java classes we will create. Okay, now I'll create a class here, new class, and the name is student. Okay, and I'll not take main method now, nothing. Okay, finish. As I said, class can contain variables, integer age, string name. Okay, these are the variables that we have. And a class can have the methods, right? So we have show method or show details method. In this, we are going to print the details of the this student, age and name we will print. Okay, void is a return type of a method. So how main method has a void? I'm using void means nothing is returned from this method.
Priya, I did not understand why we did not use this public static void main string arg.
Yes, we will use. Okay, to call this we have to use. For now we are understanding class and object.
Okay.
Okay, yes, we will use. We will write now after this public static void main. Okay, and string args. Okay, so this is our main method. Fine, we are using main method. Main method is available. Now, what is show details? Show details is going to print sysout control space, and we will print age equals to plus age. Sysout control space, name equals to plus name. What is name? Name is a variable which will store a name. Age is a variable will store a age of a student. So consider you are creating a project for a student management system. So in this we need student data to store. So there are two variables and two variables we are using. Fine. So this is what we have a code. Now where we create an object of a student in the main method. Okay, student s1 equals to new student. Okay, what is s1 now? S1 is object. Object means the life is available to these variables. Life is available when the life is available when memory is allocated. Okay, for a variable, when a memory is allocated there is a life, otherwise it doesn't have any life. There is no data stored in these variables unless and until memory is allocated. It cannot hold any data until and unless you store some data in it. So now s1 you created, so then object is created. Object is created. So when we say object is created, what happens? Memory is allocated. For whom? For age and name, right? Yes or no? I'll write it here. Memory is allocated for a age and name after this line. Okay, I'm writing this for understanding. Do not write this, it's not needed. It's not needed. I'm just writing for the understanding so that you remember. Now why, like when we created a object s1 dot age, we can store some value. S1 dot name, we can store some name. Okay, yes, yes Sudha, what is object? Object is real time entity, means the life is available for that data variables, for that class. Some memory will be allocated after we create object, otherwise this is just a template. It doesn't have any memory allocated. It's just the template or just the body. It doesn't have anything to store, no memory allocated, there is no life for it. Okay, it's a just a code, you can understand. But when we are creating object, yes, there is a memory allocated for this s1. S1 meaning is it's a student object, so entirely memory will be allocated for variables and methods. Now variables we stored a value, and now s1 dot show details, you can call the method also. S1 is available inside a student, right? You can call this. Okay. Now if I run this program, what will be the output? Okay, we are assigning 10 to age. So in the memory, wherever in the memory for age 10 is allocated, for a name Sudha is allocated, and after this we are printing show details, means age is 10, it is printed, and name is Sudha, it will print. Yes, right.
Yes.
Right click, run as Java application. See, we'll see like actually what it will print. Okay, go to window, show view, console. See, it is printing age and name. As it is, we gave age equals to, we gave first age, then name. So it is printing in the same, right? So it is printing.
Priya, but why we wrote age is equals to plus age?
Sorry.
Why we wrote age equals to semicolon plus age, like after the void show details. Yeah, and this. Yeah, and this.
This
And like
is
age is equals to yes. Why
plus
we
age.
wrote this plus age? Why we not put
Okay.
in like semicolon?
Okay. So if we write like this, it will print age directly. It will not print this age equals to. Now this is printing name equals to. This is the output, name equals to. Sudha is this variable name. This variable name contains Sudha, and this age contains the age 10. So now you are writing name equals to, name space equals to. It is printing name space equals to as it is in the output. What is the system dot out dot println? It's a print statement, right? It will print on the output. Now if you run this, age is printed directly, no name, no value is available, like what is the 10, I don't know, and I don't want to remember also tomorrow that this is the age, so I will write age, and this age is a dummy message, and this age is a right side age is a variable. To concatenate a dummy message with the variable, we have to use this plus symbol. Okay, so this is a dummy message, it will be printed this 10. Okay, so if I run now, it will print age equals to 10. So that is for a user information we are writing age equals to, so that 10 is a age, 10 number is the marks or what, 10 is what we have to show them, or we have to give information. So we are providing information, age is a 10. Okay, so if your you want to write more details, student age, whose age, what age you want to write, then student age, you can write more also. See, now this time it will print student age equals to. If you do not write equals to, you want to write colon, this is also fine, it will print as it is, age, student age colon. What you give in these double quotes will be printed as it is. You give space, it will print space. If you do not give space, it will not give space. If you give space, all the space is displayed, right? See, okay, how you give as it is, it will be printed, no change in this. Right side, this age variable is the value of a variable. Okay, now to make it similar, here also I'll write colon. Okay, so that it looks good. Student age and name. Okay, Yes,
And
able to understand.
every time you have to write void show detail on the bracket in the
Okay,
line
no,
by 8.
each method can be anything. So now we will write another example. Okay, this is another example with some method we will write. Okay, make a note of this program. Then we will write a calculator program to do the addition, subtraction. Okay.
System failed, you take it offline, it passes. Did these 37 like continue to fail or did they? No, we still left these early on because we didn't necessarily have the limits set.
Okay, guys, you wanna mute? Make a note of this program. I'll give this in the chat. Then we will see. Okay, then we will see another calculator program. Okay. Okay, then we will see a program to print the addition of two numbers, the calculator program. Okay, make a note of
Yeah.
Yes,
When I wrote
yes.
this program, I'm getting error like a student cannot be resolved at this time.
Yes, yes, same
Student
with
cannot be.
Student cannot be resolved.
Okay, you are getting error. Sudha, right? You want to share a screen?
Vanilla.
Vanilla, you want to share a screen?
Yes, Priya.
Okay. Okay, yes, you are a presenter now.
Can you see my screen, Priya?
Yes. Okay, your class name is what is class name? Student details. You have to give student details as a object. What object you are creating? Class object you are creating, right? Student details you have to give entirely student details S1 equals to new student details.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever class name we'll give, we need to create the same name with the object.
Yes, yes. Whatever the class name we give. Yes, correct.
Okay, Priya, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. Okay. So I'll share my screen again. Okay. So what we are writing here, the class name is for my class, there is only student. Student is the class name for me, right? So I gave student S1 equals to new student. If your class name is student details, you have to give student details in this. So the syntax says that class name, object name equals to new class name. Okay, it may be anything. You have to give this. Okay, object name, class name. Okay, so your class name will be always starting from a capital, next word first letter capital, object name first word first letter small, next word first letter capital. So this is called camel casing. You have to use this case. Class name object name equals to new class name. Whatever is your class name you will give in the first place. Class name object name whatever you want to give, it is not mandatory S1 you give stud1 or a student1 also you can give. So if you give student1 as a object, you have to give student1 dot class, student1 dot sorry name, student1 dot age, student1 dot show details. Okay, we have to give the object name whatever is the object name, object name dot variable, object name dot method. So dot is the operator to access the variables and methods present inside a class using the object name. Okay.
Priya, I have a doubt. If we write the public static void in the starting, what will happen?
Okay, what is your question? Can you please repeat?
We wrote public static void main method in between the program. I mean in the middle of the program. If we write in the starting, what will happen?
Okay, like this.
Not the object, like only if we write that line, the main method line.
Okay, this will work. Okay, now you are writing main method and now you write in the middle. It will work. But the standard says that right at the end. Okay, if you have a class and methods and variables, first you should write variables. Okay, then you should write methods, then you should write main method. Okay, these variables are also called as instance variables of a class, okay, or data members of a class. Now this method is called as, okay, these are methods of a class. Okay, and this is a main method which is actually executing your entire student class is executed using this main method, right? Main method is starting point of execution. Now wherever you write main method, from that program will execute. So your program will start executing from this line number 17. It will say that students s1 new student, so compiler will go to a student, then create a memory for this variables and methods. Then next s1 dot age, compiler will assign some age, value 10. Okay, name as a Sudha, it will assign. Then after your calling s1 dot student show details, student dot show details, it will print the data. Okay, if you do not write this, it will not print anything. If you do not write this print statement, it will not print anything. Compiler will not print anything. Okay. So wherever you write a main method, the starting point of execution will be main method. Fine.
Yeah, can you scroll up?
Okay. Okay.
Priya, what's the name of this code? I mean, like, what we will call this code?
This is class and object. So we created a class student and we created object student1. So how to create a class and object? We are learning about how to create a class and object. Able to understand, guys? Yes, no?
Yes, Priya.
Yes, yes, able to understand. Okay, so we will see some more examples tomorrow, guys. Okay, class and object. Some more examples we will see in the next class tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Hey, can you give us something for the practice?
Yes, okay. So you can create a class animal, and in that you can take animal name, and for animal you can use age is one thing. You can specify type. Okay, type in the sense you can specify anything, or you can specify a category, string category as in, and in that you can specify what it is, the animal. Okay, dog, cat, or something like that. Okay, so let me elaborate the question. Okay, create a class animal. Okay, with the name animal you will create, and two variables you will create. One is a type and one is a age. Type will be string type, age is a integer type. And you will write a show details method to print show details. It is a method. What it will do, it will print type and age. Okay, and create an object of a class animal. How you create an object of a class animal? Animal a1 equals to new animal, or however object name you want to give, you can give. Okay, and use a main method and write like this. Fine. So instead of name it will be type, and instead of this Sudha you can write whatever the type you want to give. So you can create different objects. Now you created a object, okay, maybe a1. In this you can assign cat as a type. Okay, next is age is 1, age is 1. Okay, for another object, object 2 you created a2, age is 2, and type is you can give some another animal. Okay, horse or elephant, anything, whichever you write, peacock or a bird or anything. Okay, so that is you have to create. So object, and this time you write bird, something like this. Fine, can you create this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Priya, you will keep this recording in the LM.
Yes, I'll keep it now immediately. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Bye.
Thank you, Priya. Bye.
Have a great day, guys.